Also, speaking of athleisure and streetwear, the guy that played a pretty big role on top of Virgil Abloh in mass producing athleisure and streetwear is very clearly crashing out once again on the timeline. Everybody knew he was a Nazi already, but he's going full Nazi mode once again in an effort to desperately get people to pay attention to him. But it seems like in that process, it seems he's gotten one of his collabs pulled. Numerous famous celebrities have finally unfollowed him. And Kai Cenat, who was supposed to do a collab with him, said this.
I'm going to go ahead and address the elephant in the room. I seen the tweets, my nigga. I seen the tweets, bro. I seen the tweets. I don't know what's going on, bro. I think it's GG's.
What do you mean you don't know what's going on? He did this before, Hey, the second time he's doing it.
I think it is GG's. I don't know, bro. I don't know. I think, bro, it's crazy, bro. I don't know, bro. It's crazy. It's just back to back to back. I don't know. I think it's GG's. It's GG's, bro.
Yeah, I mean, of course it's GG's. And the thing is, I have a different approach to it. I do think that like his mental illness certainly played a major role in making him vulnerable and more susceptible to Nazi influence. Candace Owens played a big role in, I think, Kanye West's like neo-Nazi radicalization. Having said that, however, this is the second go at it. And I think at this point, it's fairly obvious that it's not because of just like the mania that comes in and out of Kanye West's life, but also he's doing it for attention. Like a child that needs attention and cries and poops in his diapers. That's what he's doing. Like he's just very clearly trying to sell some product. And if you can't do it because of your creative skills, what do? You go for the lowest common denominator. That's it. The lowest common denominator is saying that people will pay attention to negatively. Okay. 14-year-old kids do this exact same thing all the time. Like literally this exact same thing, screaming the racially charged, racist ass. He's like an angry baby. He hit every part of the political spectrum. I will say nothing bad or against China. They always showed me love. When Americans turned their backs on me, I'm a Nazi. Who's your top 5 baddest bitches of all time? My wife, my wife, my wife, my wife. My wife demoralizes bitches. I change my mind when I feel like it. If you see anyone around me, know that they are providing a service. Friends are for kids. I used to be broke. Now I can't relate to brokenness and don't want to. All white people are racist. I'm happily out of touch. Gerard Carmichael is funnier than Dave Chappelle. I miss you, family, and I'm sorry if I ever said any gay jokes in front of you, not knowing you was gay. You are one of the most brilliant people. And yes, I said I miss you, knowing people will try to flip that. He's finally crossed the line. He's selling this now? What is this? Okay, dude. I've wanted to make this t-shirt for years. My greatest performance art piece thus far. This has 89,000 likes. Twitter is so cooked. Yeah, HH Heil Hitler 01. Dude, let me explain something to you, okay? This is 1,000,000% someone who is unimaginably desperate for attention, okay? He said, "Hail Elon." Kanye is not being a contrarian. If he was, he would be a communist. The ultimate contrarian under a capitalist system. Being a Nazi and spewing Nazi views just reinforces what capitalist fascist collaborators want to do. Dude, no, I don't think you understand. He is just simply doing what he thinks is the edgiest thing you can do. This is his perspective on what he believes is edgy. It's a desperate ploy for attention from an old man who is nearing 50 years old, who unfortunately for many of his fans and himself has not contributed to the culture in meaningful and relevant ways in quite a while at this point. And I think that bricked his brain. He already was like very obviously not all there, and surrounded by sycophants who lean into his worst motivations, who allow him to go crazy like this. He's just basically popping off, desperately trying to garner as much attention as he possibly can. And we're kind of giving it to him, but not in the way that he wants it to happen. That's it. Can you explain how Candace Owens played a role in this? In Kanye West's most vulnerable moments, Candace Owens was literally constantly stuck to his ass cheeks, okay? A lot of people don't remember this. This was all the way back in like 2018, if I'm not mistaken. It was the first time he had a crash out. Van Lathan, or Van Lathan, I forget how to say his name, I'm sorry, famously had that TMZ argument with him where he was saying like slavery is a mindset, where he was basically unwinding, where he first started doing the MAGA. That was when he was linked up with Candace Owens. And Candace Owens was nonstop pumping his brain with, like, at first some Hotep stuff, and then later directly neo-Nazi. Okay, I remember talking about this at the time because I can't reveal my sources, but I also had some people that, especially when he went to Africa, when he did his Africa tour, I know some people that were there with him, and they explained to me how shocking it was and how much more that he's openly saying now, he was saying 7 years ago. He was saying all this stuff behind closed doors, and then he's now voluntarily revealing this stuff now. The reality of the matter is, this is kind of the trajectory that Kanye West has been on for almost the past decade. I used to be woke too. I like that being woke now is just saying being anti-Nazi. Like, that's what wokeness has gotten to. Cancel culture is now when you want to say that, like, a federal government employee shouldn't be on the timeline talking about, you know, deporting every Indian. That's cancel culture. Okay. If you say, hey, this like 19, 20-year-old was tweeting about how we should deport every Indian and we should normalize Indian hate. Okay. 2 weeks before assuming the role of controlling the treasury, right? Like, maybe that's not the best possible person to hire for the job. That's cancel culture. And now woke is when you're like, say no to Nazis. You know what the worst part is? The album gonna suck? Yeah, 100%. If he could rest on his laurels, he wouldn't be doing this anyway. What do hacky ass comedians do when they don't have good material, when they feel like they're out of touch? What do? They hit the exact same button. They try to be as edgy as possible because that drives reactions. If you're desperate for attention, you can always hit that cancel culture vein. You can always say like edgy. To be honest, this is incredibly sad, bro. His kids. Yeah, that's the other side of the story, which is like he's 50 years old. He has children at this point who can see him doing this kind of stuff. And it's just like, it's so lame. It's so corny. It's so sad. I don't know. I mean, he is just actively manic posting on the timeline up and down. He's about to be 50 soon and he's still doing this stuff. Yeah, there's not really much else I can say about it. Yesterday, the White Lives Matter tee sold the most. They'll buy all this Louis Vuitton owned by a French dude, but y'all mad. Now, the thing that's also, I guess, like, if I were to do some systemic analysis here, some systemic critique, I think one of the major issues with this kind of hog behavior is that it does have a tendency to normalize other people coming out this way, because there are plenty of people who want clout. There are plenty of people who want attention. So they go, oh, well, Kanye's doing it, I'm going to do it too. And then there's also plenty of people who personally agree with this kind of attitude, and they see that as a perfect way to come out and actively try to make this more of a normal attitude to have. The way this works is like when Elon Musk hits that Sig Heil, and there's a lot of discourse, and he gets no punishments, no penalties for it as the wealthiest, most powerful person on the planet, that creates an environment where a lot more people will feel comfortable doing this kind of thing. And guess what? Kanye also contributes to that and has contributed to that. And that's precisely what's happening. Hasan, thank you for not feeding the narrative that Kanye's acting like this due to bipolar 1 disorder. I was diagnosed with it in 2017. No, the only thing that contributes to it is like, it obviously, when you're bipolar, yes, you are more vulnerable, more susceptible to outside influences like this, but it's still him doing it. You know what I mean? He's like, not everyone with bipolar disorder that goes out and becomes a Nazi. Okay. People actively work to control their urges. And I think that Kanye West, especially given the media blackout that he engaged in his spiraling in the past, like, this is not the first time he's doing it. This is the second time he's doing it very publicly. Okay. And the stakes are constantly raised. So obviously there is a separate narcissistic tendency here where he obviously wants to garner attention by doing this. It's not because he's bipolar, although that feeds into him being vulnerable, I think, especially alongside his narcissism and his tendency to push away people that are like criticizing him or critical of him in his own orbit. that try to reach out to him and preserve his mental sanity. But it's clear that, especially considering the times where he hasn't behaved like this prominently, and the suspicious nature of how he came out recently again and started popping off like this again, right before he decides to like release an album or sell some merchandise or whatever, it shows me that he's doing this for a very specific, very deliberate, very nefarious purpose, to garner more attention.
It seemed as if, at least back then, though those arguments were terrible, he was trying to articulate his point. I'm not blaming the fans. I'm not. Y'all don't have control over what Kanye West says. You aren't going to be the needle. But a lack of engagement, I think, is what's required when you see people doing things like this. Kanye West is incapable. Yes, Kanye West is incapable of making noise musically currently. He has no ideas, nothing thought-provoking, nothing left in the...
Exactly. And when you're like an incredibly influential artist for most of your life, I think that bricks your brain. So you try to hit the lowest common denominator nonsense that garners maximum amounts of attention. And that's where he is. That's currently where he is. Exactly. The Nazi stuff is a weird situation because on the one hand, it's incredibly dangerous to normalize this kind of rhetoric. Okay, that's one. Number two, he does have this ideological leaning for sure. Make no mistake. But the reason why he's coming out like this is not because of mental illness, even though that is a contributing factor. The reason why he's coming out like this is because he wants attention and he doesn't know how to get it with his art. He doesn't have motion anymore. He can't fashion trends. He can't dictate music trends. He's completely far removed from rap as a medium. His artistic expression is not up to par. Like, I feel like if you made him listen to like a one Osama song or whatever, he would just he would snap back to reality almost. Like, it would break his brain so hard. Like, a lot of where rap is going right now with, you know, underground artists and underground music. No, not Bin Laden, man. Osama's son. Like one Plaque Max collaboration stream would just destroy his brain. And it's interesting because he also recognizes that as well to a certain degree, because I saw him tweeting about how he just like doesn't listen to rap anymore because it's lame. He only listens to Wagner. He says his favorite rapper is Miles.
Get people talking, but he hasn't done so over the last 5 years. People that aren't hardcore fans, his genius, quote unquote, has not been acknowledged to that extent musically. I'm not saying that people don't still like his merchandise, but the allure of Kanye West clothing doesn't seem to be as hype as it was 5-6 years ago. So when no one's talking about Kanye or bro wants some attention,
those are not dog whistles, my guy. He's selling a shirt with a swastika on it. That's blatant. No. I'm saying, like, even I know it's blatant, but I'm saying even when he's talking about like music, like every aspect of it is just like pro-Nazi. Everything he tweets about is like about how much he loves Adolf Hitler. I don't know how to explain this to you. It is because he is washed. That's it. He is so washed and so desperate for attention that he knows this is the last thing you can do. The only thing you can do that is worse than this if you actively come out in support of like pedophilia or something. Okay? That's it. That's the last move that he's got in the tank. The one thing he hasn't pulled on yet is saying he loves Adolf Hitler is basically second to last before you hit the full Monty. Then why would he have the same views 5 years ago? He was at least like somewhat cognizant and had more motion still, because he was just recently coming out and saying he's like pro MAGA, pro Trump, whatever. So he didn't feel the need to just go balls to the wall. I guess technically he did hit a free Diddy. So he did do that as well. Yeah, he had like contracts with Adidas. Like, he had the wherewithal to recognize that, like, you know, on the one hand, he could probably get more attention with his music. He probably still believed that he could get more attention with his music. That was one aspect of it. On the other hand, maybe he hadn't like fully flushed out his insane perspective. This is the funniest tweet about this process, I think. Him coming out and being like, I love Hitler, now what, bitches? And this is the best tweet for it. Okay, so does 30% of the site. You're not special anymore. Exactly. It's not even hot. Yeah, now what, dude? I can't believe you said you love Nazis on the Nazi platform Like here, even this in and of itself shows that this doesn't garner the same level of attention anymore because it's not even special. Now, obviously, I look at that as a broader problem, a cultural problem, a societal problem that is really consequential and really significant, will genuinely lead to a lot of issues down the line. But having said that, ultimately, you ain't special. I mean, guys with opinions like this are getting hired to the federal government right now. Okay.
He pops out to the Grammys with his half-naked wife. Definitely feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't remember the last time Kanye West went to the Grammys. When an NBA player wants to be acknowledged, he performs well in his games. When a producer wants to be acknowledged, he shuts his whole ass up and makes some drums. When a chef wants to be acknowledged, he goes in the fucking kitchen. But when a creatively self-neutered Kanye West wants to get attention, he goes to Twitter.
I think Kanye would have been more impactful if after all of the instances where he got Bianca naked, he went to the Grammys and he was butt-ass naked and she was dressed up. But he's got no creative juice. He's got no motion. It's tapped out, okay? If he came out there with like a sock on his dick and just walked that goddamn red carpet and Bianca was like dressed up, people will be like, damn, that's crazy. I can't believe he did that. But guess what? That would require a little bit of critical thinking. That would require some creativity. Okay? He doesn't have the meat for it. You don't know that. But my point is, he's got no emotion. He's got no aura. He's got no new opinions. He's just looking for bottom of the barrel nonsense. Look at me. I'm dominating my wife that looks like Kim Kardashian. Okay? Free Bianca. Yeah, I saw that TikTok where a lady was talking about if Bianca had bush, it would have been art. I agree. That's another great take. Like, I think if Bianca came out and had just like the meatiest bush of all time on that fit, all of a sudden, art. Okay, that's another take. You all of a sudden turn it around. You're now a trendsetter. Okay, people are talking about how is Bush coming back. Okay, my point is all of that requires some kind of forethought. You know, but he's got none of that anymore. He's not interested in making something unique or different. Okay. He is interested in rage baiting. That's it. And if that's all you can get is all you're capable of doing, inevitably people are going to go, this is kind of mid. This is no longer interesting. Okay. This is no longer interesting. This is kind of mid. This is boring. And it is. It's desperate. It's lame. It's boring.
The guy who's produced some of the greatest records you've heard in your life, who's been acknowledged in the fashion industry, his creative juices are so sapped up that instead of creating better material, he'd rather resort to I love Hitler tweets. I think it's up to the people to do better and just not unironically engage with him. I've seen people on Twitter trying to argue back and forth with Kanye West in this moment. He doesn't give a fuck what you're talking about. He just cares that you're engaging.
This is also another telltale sign that someone is right-wing, okay? You see this? The moment that you put on, I mean, it's not Oakley's, right? It's a different brand, but it's got the Oakley style. The moment that you put skin-tight Oakleys on, and it's just creating little meat flaps. All right. You got the wraparounds. Those are the wife beater sevens. Okay. Those are the domestic abuser sevens. You put them on, you've gone right wing. Okay. You got the meat creases, dude. You're tactically ascertaining whether or not you're about to commit a felony. You're about to have a kinetic moment with a teenager. Never seen a guy with positive aura rocking the wife beaters like that.
He's trying to dismantle his points. There are no points. There's nothing you have to argue against. He doesn't care what's coming out of his mouth, and neither should you. But these should be reasons why you should rescind support. These should be reasons why you should look at Kanye West and be like, damn, you're that drained creatively that as opposed to making better art, you'd rather tweet in order to get attention. How sad, how little, how low. You're saying fuck Virgil. Dude, I can't even take you serious. Everything that I've had to say about Kanye West has not changed. I could apply the exact same things I said about Kanye in a video from 2, 3, 4 years ago and apply them right now, and it would still fit. Nobody needs a monologue or a video essay to tell them that the things that Kanye West was saying are unforgivable, irredeemable. You shouldn't say these no words. But Kanye exists currently just in opposition of what people think so that he can garner attention. That's it. The music has been scattered, unable to speak for itself or prove itself for years now. And I think it's up to his fans to genuinely just reach a breaking point. How far are you willing to go? Much are you willing to be pushed? What more do you need to see? What more does he need to say?
I think also maybe this is like him testing the waters a little bit too. Like, yeah, I think he really, really, really wants attention. That's number one. But also, I think he is desperate to see, like, I think his narcissism creates this unique predicament where he's like, what can I say and still maintain a fan base? I think that's probably the other side of this as well, which is like, I'm going to say the most unhinged to garner as much attention as possible. But I wonder if I can like say this stuff and still maintain a loyal fandom. I guess that's part of it too. Well, being Nazi is cool now? No, I don't think so. I don't agree with that. Okay. I don't agree with that at all. I also think the music industry is interested in the answer to this question as well for monetary purposes. But like, he's not, I don't even think he's not putting out bangers. He's not getting rewarded. I think he ultimately would need to put out really good music. And if you have really good music, then you wouldn't need to do this anyway. Maybe he's getting paid. No, he's not. He's getting rewarded if he sold 800K off a t-shirt though. You guys are, dude, he sold 3,000 units. He's Kanye West. Are you kidding me? That's nothing. That's literally like streamer merchandise drop number. What are you talking? He's Kanye West. This man, yeah, he sold $800,000 worth of shirts and he made $60,000. But I looked at the number of units he actually sold, and the number of units he sold was like 3,000. Do you understand how little that is for someone like Kanye West? That's Kanye West. 10 years ago, Kanye West is changing fashion, okay? Whether you like him or not, playing a significant and active role in changing fashion trends at the global stage. Now he's literally doing Twitch streamer merchandise numbers. Like, that is low for Kanye. That's my point. Like, it's a decent number of units that you sold, but understand that is definitely very low for someone like Kanye West. Like, he made people wear those ugly ass Yeezys, dude. Think about that. He sold more Yeezys. Ye knows the truth hurts. Yeah. Is it possible he's just actually a Nazi? Wait, no, he is. I'm not saying he's not. What do you mean? He's openly saying he loves Adolf Hitler. That, like, what? He is that. He has become that for sure. I'm just simply explaining to you like why he's doing that on top of the fact that he is that. He definitely is that. But the reason why he's also doing that right now is because he's got nothing in the tank. He's got nothing creatively in the tank. And when you got nothing in the tank, what do? If your job revolves around the attention economy, okay? If your job revolves around garnering as much attention as possible so you can consider yourself to be an influential person. Like, he went from being an artist to being an influencer, okay? He leveled down, and not even like a cool influencer. He went from being an artist, a cherished, well-celebrated, well-respected artist, to being a kick streamer. It is the bottom of the barrel. Why do you think all these kick streamers do like this all the time? It's because they don't know anything else. They don't know any other way of getting attention. Like, he devolved. He's washed. That's it. Do you understand? That's what you do. Why do you think when celebrities, for example, fall out of favor or whatever, or are outed as like sex pests, or are outed as sex criminals like Russell Brand, they literally hit the right wing button as hard as they possibly can? Why do they do that? Because they know that there's like a captive audience there that will respond positively to them. Okay? That's why they do that. It's the oldest trick in the book at this point. And he's doing it too. And he's been doing it. Anthony Fantano says Kanye West is a disgusting loser. People are still mad at him for this take, by the way, which is pretty funny. I saw people on Twitter being like, yo, you're obsessed with him, dude. Anthony Fantano is obsessed. It's like, what are you saying, big dog? What are you saying? Oh, there is also one interesting take from Boltzmann that I kind of agree with that I've talked about before. Elon and Kanye share a CIA lawyer, Alex Spiro, who played a key role in the decision-making early on as Elon took over Twitter, perhaps even more so than Elon by one account. Despite Elon's open servitude to Israel, Twitter has become a hive of Nazi propaganda since his takeover. Now, I don't care about like the lawyer connection, but I do think it's very odd that there is a lot of prominence to be offered to you if you say unhinged anti-Semitic stuff. And a lot of the people who say unhinged anti-Semitic things, who also then will turn around and act like they are anti-Israel, are the names that you hear of the most. I feel like there's a concerted effort to basically make it seem as though most of the anti-Israel commentary actually comes from people who are also anti-Semitic. This is something that I've noticed and something that I've actually criticized quite a bit. Whether it be Myron from Fresh and Fit, okay, whether it be Dan Bilzerian, or numerous other people that get a lot of prominence from the likes of Piers Morgan and many other outlets. It's also weird that people actually sometimes talk about that Jake Shields, that nurse doctor woman who's like very clearly an anti-Semite. Now, of course, on the one hand, I think that anti-Semitism is not seen as big as a threat as being anti-Israel is, right? From a lot of our institutions. Clearly, that's not the case. Clearly, if that was the case, then the ADL would be coming after the likes of Donald Trump or Elon Musk way more aggressively. The ADL will regularly go after people who are obviously overtly anti-Semitic every now and then, like Kanye. This one is a classic example, okay? This is just a way to beef up your bona fides, to say like, oh no, I'm in this to still attack anti-Semitism. If you were in the combating anti-Semitism game, you'd probably be saying a lot more about the likes of Elon Musk hitting a Sig Heil, for example, instead of defending him because he is pro-Israel. For me, I think basically a lot of the most prominent anti-Israeli accounts are being openly anti-Semitic on the timeline. It cannot be an accident. It works in two different ways. On the one hand, when anti-Semitism grows and festers in the Western world, then Israel can continue to say, look at how anti-Semitic the world is. We have to have a Jewish ethno-state. We must have a Jewish ethno-state. Otherwise, no Jews around the world are ever going to be truly secure and safe. That's part of the reason why Benjamin Netanyahu actively will collaborate with anti-Semitic fascist movements all around the world. The other side of this also is that you can then partner and pair up anti-Semitism and anti-Israel takes by saying, look, all the most prominent anti-Israel accounts, all the most prominent anti-Israel people are rabid anti-Semites, okay? That's why I've often maintained the position that someone like myself who actively combats anti-Semitism, who is also anti-Israel, is a far greater threat to these institutions that are tasked with defending Israel than someone who is openly anti-Semitic and anti-Israel. Because when you're openly anti-Semitic and anti-Israel, then you can just go, yeah, this guy hates Jews. Like, look at him. It's very clear. That's why he hates Israel. But when it's someone like myself, it's going to be really hard. It's going to be really hard for you to actively try to maintain this position that my criticism of Israel is not coming from the fact that I have an understandable moral position on the invention and maintenance of an apartheid regime that is built around religious and ethnic supremacy in an identical fashion to previous fascist movements, that is doing a genocide. I think that is unacceptable, okay? All of a sudden, that becomes a much larger problem. That's a much larger problem because you can't present an argument as easily as, well, that guy is anti-Semitic. And I mean, there it is. He tweeted out Heil Hitler again. That's the end, finish. Just check his tweet out right now. Jesus Christ. What do you mean? This is not new, chat. What are you talking about? He's tweeted out Heil Hitler like 25 times in the past like 48 hours. What are you talking about? He's spamming it. I think this is a desperate and very sad ploy for attention. Do I believe that he personally thinks this way? This is his ideological position? Yes. Do I believe that his mental health complications made him more susceptible to this kind of ideology from a charismatic figure in his corner, Clandis Owens? Okay, absolutely. Having said that, however, the major contributor to him doing this is his desperate ploy for garnering attention. He can't do it by making music, okay? He is trying to still be as relevant as he can. He can't do this by making music, so he's trying to do it by, consistently glazing Adolf Hitler. It's sad. But yeah, I have noticed that so many prominent anti-Israel accounts, especially on Twitter, are also rabid anti-Semites. Do Aindin Ross really want to interview? What a strange world we live in where this like random corner of the internet that we exist in is becoming more prominent and more involved in the broader culture. And it's happening in the worst ways possible. You know what I mean? We are in the bad timeline.
But again, Kanye does also have a history for standing in support of people who have some pretty damning sexual abuse allegations against them.
Yeah, Free Diddy is what I was just saying, right? Like, it's the final stage. Like, the last line that you can hit is basically saying that you're like pro pedophilia. Free Jeffrey Epstein. Like, it is the one thing worse than being an out and about Nazi. What is the only thing that is a like more ridiculous thing that you could say other than saying that you love Adolf Hitler? Saying that you are pro pedophilia.
I mean, it's gotten so awful that previous collaborators like JPEG Mafia have had to tweet in order to distance himself from it. And currently right now on Twitter, there is a headline that says Kanye West's autism diagnosis separating behavior from diagnosis. Like, why do we need to have this discourse as if being autistic is a prerequisite for having a Nazi crash out on Twitter? Clearly, there is much more than being on the spectrum going on with this man. And the only silver lining to this cloud right now is that it does seem like on some level that even his most sycophantic supporters who were like really there with him through the Vultures album cycle and so on and so forth are now becoming disillusioned with his behavior and his commentary at this point. So, I mean, I guess that's at least somewhat of a saving grace as a result of all this. But yeah, I think that's all I have to say.
It's crazy. It's so obvious what's happening. And it's kind of sad. It's sad to see so many people like still actively trying to, you know, make this seemingly work. I don't know. Apparently Ye is going to talk to Aiden Ross soon or something. I don't know. It's basically just people farming clout all the way down, you know? Isn't Aiden Jewish? Yes. Okay. Aiden is Jewish. So what? He's literally had Nick Fuentes and Sneeko, both are obviously openly anti-Semitic, on his broadcast numerous times where they convinced him that the Holocaust was fake, dude. Like, what are you talking about? He doesn't give a about anything. He just cares about clout. Scoring a massive interview with Kanye West is infinitely more important. If he's gonna farm clout off of Nick Fuentes and Sneeko, he's gonna farm clout off of Kanye. Are you kidding me? I think for a lot of people, they don't think about the impact of this either. Like, they don't think about the consequences of this sort of thing. They don't think about like what this does in terms of normalizing being a Nazi in political discourse. Like, what kind of ramifications can come from that? People are just not thinking clearly about this at all. Eldon responded, and Kanye is losing it. Jews are arrogant and think they can speak to anyone they want any kind of way. That's why every Jewish wife is a bitch. Yes, sir. I will refer to you as sir. May I call you in 2 minutes, sir? Of course, I want to be your favorite Jew, sir. I just found out Kai did that too from a post. Not fully sure why. I've been wanting to do our stream since 2022, sir. You saying sir 4 times was condescending. I'm blocking you. Nobody's going to play with me. How y'all say it? Never again. We are on the dumbest timeline. I'm not even kidding. It doesn't get worse than this, I don't think. I don't think we are physically capable of getting dumber than this. We have officially hit the peak of stupidity. You want to know what's crazy? I don't think Aiden Ross was actually making fun of Kanye by calling him sir multiple times. I think in his mind, he thought, if I am as servile as physically possible, then I can get this collaboration. He was glazing, but he glazed it so hard that Kanye thought he was being condescending. If Ye knew anything about Aiden Ross, he would have recognized this man will sniff your chair when you get up. He was not trying to mock you. Why are we even trying to understand stupidity? Yeah, GG's Drake better. I got nothing, dude. People will be like, react harder. Say something. I got nothing to say here. What can I say?